take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Uniting to fight the foes we face: anger, resentment and hatred, extremism, lawlessness, violence, disease, joblessness, and hopelessness. With unity, we can do great things, important things. We can right wrongs. We can put people to work in good jobs. We can teach our children in safe schools. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work and rebuild the middle class and make health care secure for all. We can deliver racial justice, and we can make America once again the leading force for good in the world.
Hello, this is SCLC Today TV, and this is Inauguration Day. Dr. Steele, we both have daughters. We both are married to marvelous women. And as you well know, the backbone, the foot soldiers of SCLC organization were women. What does today say about Kamala Harris being the first black woman elected vice president and the highest elected black female ever in United States government? What does that say?
It says a lot. It says a lot, Mr. Eden, in terms of the imagery and the impact. And as you mentioned, all young girls, young ladies, all females who had a reservation in terms of stepping out can now feel the significance and impact that they can stand and represent just as anyone else.
You mentioned earlier, we've talked earlier about Rosa Parks and others. I grew up around Shirley Chisholm. The historicity, as your favorite word, has led to today, correct?
Absolutely. The history of Rosa Parks and Shirley Chisholm, of course, it made a big difference in terms of the little steps, which are mighty steps. As my chairman of the board, Dr. Bernard Lafayette, always tell me, Charles, you and others in the civil rights movement take what you are doing for granted on a daily basis, but you don't know you're laying the groundwork for the future. There are many other people that will come behind you and will springboard, catapult, just because of what you are doing on a daily basis. In commitment, you don't have to give a sermon, people see it.
Let's talk about President Biden, who said today, democracy has prevailed. My whole soul is in this, uniting our nation. How significant? What do you think is a turning point for America, Dr. Steele? What do you say about President Biden and what he's going to try to do?
It's a success story, first of all. I've been observing and been around President Biden for many years because of SCLC. Last time, the March on Washington a few years ago, we were sitting, my wife and I sitting right next to him. And he was always amenable with Dr. Joe Zalari, Reverend John Nettles, myself, as we visit Capitol Hill for many of years. But to watch him and know that people had not always rallied behind him, and to know that he had such background of overcoming tragedies in terms of his family and as well as his career. Don't forget, this was the third time that he ran for president. But it is a success story in its own right. And to be beat up on, and his family being beat up on and being accused and focused upon in a negative and very disrespectful kind of way, it's a story in itself. But the fact being is that he's in the Oval position, the Oval Office of being the president, and to oversee the world, the most powerful position in the world, and to have a balancing act, which I know he will perform. But what I like about him in closing, Mr. Eden, he went right to work tonight on this particular night that we're taping. He went to work, and he was not concerned about the ceremonials part of what he has to do, but he wants to take care of business.
Now, taking care of business, he also mentioned an uncivil war we've been going through the last 4 years. He also mentioned racial injustice. Does that give you hope? Do you think that opens a door perhaps to civil rights organizations like you had, SCLC?
Well, talk is cheap, as we always say. And as you know, Mr. Eden, many people talk the game. And I'm not saying he's talking the game because he's in a position to make a difference. I still say people must push the envelope, not off the edge, but as close as you can. You must challenge the words to a reality of being the truth about an individual.
He also mentioned the last 4 years or so that lies have been told for power and profit. Are we at a crucial point now where we don't know what the truth is? Maya Angelou used to say, the truth is a stubborn fact. Are we wrestling with what the truth is nowadays?
Well, not really. What I think has happened, Maynard, is that the two-party system has really damaged, I really looked at it very seriously, damaged us to a large degree when folks put the party over morality. And I'm talking about what happened to none other than President Biden. I'm not saying that the other side is better than this side or that side better than the other. I'm saying individually, morally, people must stand for the truth. And people are not going to be influenced like we were just a few weeks ago by lies and misrepresentation of the truth. The truth shall set you free, but we're not in a position where we put party over morality or politics over basic foundation, what America was founded upon, and that's in God we trust. You must live to those concepts.
I just still putting you on the spot here a little bit because you may not want to go here, but you saw the inauguration ceremony.
Always. Please do it.
You saw the inauguration ceremonies today, and some commentators, more than one, said ex-President Trump was the worst president in American history. What do you say about that?
I would say that he's very unconcerning of those who are less fortunate than being in his category or imagery, not to say that he is rich, but he hangs out with rich people. I will answer that question like this, Mr. E. Through Victor Hugo, and you heard me say it several times, there's more misery among the poor than there is humanity among the rich.
One last comment that may help us, SCLC. A $40 million gift has been given to train to send 50 civil rights students, 50 students of HBCUs to become civil rights lawyers. It was done on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Those lawyers will come out of grad school, out of law school, and work for civil rights groups. Is that good news for you?
Absolutely. Regardless of the situation in terms of who will oversee the aspect of the grants. And it is the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, which I think is doing a great job with its leadership. But the fact being is that we have lost so many civil rights lawyers over the years. And I remember when I was a teenager and in my middle 20s, which I'm just a few years from that now. And I knew you were going to laugh. But the fact being is that we lost so many civil rights lawyers because they went after the corporate world of venue in terms of making profits. And I'm happy to see that people are reinvested in the civil rights movement through having legal representations with these lawyers and being trained academically through our educational institutions, which are the basic fabric of representing us in the movement.
Because that help that legal brilliance is still needed for civil rights future and for civil rights gains, is it not?
Absolutely. That was my point, that we lost so many because of the dollar. You know, people don't get rich being in civil rights. You know, and when you represent poor folks, people run from you. Poor people, working people, poor folks, people even in the middle class kind of have a tendency to say, you know, you must be out of your mind. And I quote Dr. Joseph Lowry. Dr. Lowry said, you got to be just a little bit crazy in order to help others. And many times, man, as you know, the main ones that you try to help are the ones that's your adversary. They want to know, what are you doing this for? What is it about you that you think you so great that you can help me? And I'm not poor. How can you get help if you don't recognize that 75 to 80% of us, 140 million folks in this country, lived from check to check before the pandemic? Now it's more.
Very well said. On this inauguration night taping, let's end this on what I thought was a high note of the inauguration ceremonies. Her name is Amanda Gorman, the first National Youth Poet Laureate. She says her poem, this is the ending of her poem, "The hill we climb, like the hill you've climbed, sir." See you next week.
If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the West. We will rise from the wind-swept Northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade of flame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.